Well, good afternoon, everyone. Exciting day for Kansas State, an exciting day for a lot of young men and their families to sign with Kansas State. I'm going to go through the list of guys. We had three kids from Texas, two from Kansas, two from Georgia, two from Nebraska, two from Oklahoma, one from Colorado, and one from Pennsylvania. We didn't have any surprises at all this morning. We knew we were going to sign 13 guys, and all 13 of those young men signed early this morning, and got a chance to visit with them, and I know they're excited about the opportunity to get started here with us. So we'll just kick it off right away and start with Drake Beckwith, offensive lineman from Colleyville, Texas, Grapevine High School. He came to camp, did a great job for Coach Riley at camp as a big offensive lineman, was very physical, really athletic. He's got some ties to the Kansas City area, and so he's been over here a few times, came back for a game, and we're really excited about getting Drake here as we have really done a nice job with our offensive line, getting some more guys in our class. The next guy is Jake Clifton from Owasso High School in Owasso, Oklahoma. Came and visited us in the summer. Coached by Bill Blankenship, and a number of us on our staff have known Coach Blankenship for an awful long time, and one of the icons in the profession. And Jake is a really fast linebacker. He's really plays well in space. Will strike you, a really smart kid, and we're excited to continue to add depth to the linebacker room. Next one is Jalen Clem, offensive lineman from Pine Richland High School in Pennsylvania, in Mars, Pennsylvania. Jalen's a coach's kid. His dad is the offensive line coach for the Steelers, and very athletic, really smart, physical, big guy that is going to really help us in the offensive line. He came to Kansas State just on a visit just a couple weeks ago, and he was one that was selected for the U.S. Army All-American game and was down there for his signing today, and then goes back on January 8th for the game. The next guy is a pretty familiar name in Sterling Lockett. We're so excited to have Sterling here and continue the legacy of the Lockett family at Kansas State. Obviously, his dad played here, his uncle played here, his brother played here, and is with Tyler's with the Seahawks, and Sterling came to camp, did a phenomenal job for us at camp. Really great route runner, smooth, catches the ball really well. We'll utilize him in the slot, and just so excited to keep that tradition going with the Lockett family here and getting Sterling. So next guy is Braden Lofton, a tight end from Omaha, Nebraska, Lewis Central High School, which is in Iowa. He also came to camp. Really rangy guy that you can flex out, put on the ball, play in space. He really can run well. They won a state championship this year. He was really instrumental there. We're excited about Braden as we continue to enhance the tight end room with big athletic guys that can run. Next guy is Colby McAllister, a defensive back from Clearbrook High School in Houston, Texas. And Colby's been a 3-year starter, really physical corner, knows the game really well, has tremendous speed. We look for him to be a leader already in the secondary, just a really mature kid, and excited to have Colby joining us as well. Garrett Oakley, a tight end from Columbus, Nebraska, and Garrett, also a player that came to camp. Really good athlete, played on the ball, played flexed out, creates mismatches, and really excited to get Garrett to join Braden and upgrade that tight end group with athleticism and size and physicality and ability to run. So next one, Toby Usansama. And Toby is a linebacker from Wichita East High School in Wichita, Kansas. He came to camp and really excited us at camp, did a phenomenal job. His high school coach is Shaq Reed, who played here. Toby's a long, really explosive, fast athlete that has that size already, and Toby's going to be a really big kid. He's 6'3", 210, and he'll be a 230-pound guy before you know it, and really excited to get a guy out of Wichita East High School. Next one, John Pastore from Erie, Colorado, offensive lineman. Another one that came to camp, did a great job for Coach Riley. He can play multiple positions. He's a versatile guy. He's 6'6". He's close to 295 pounds already. Play guard, play tackle, really good feet, really good hands, physical player, and excited to get John to join the program. VJ Payne from Buford, Georgia, Buford High School. They just won the state championship down in Georgia. It's a powerhouse program. VJ does everything. You know, he plays safety, he can play linebacker, he'll blitz, he'll cover, runs and strikes people, plays all over the field. Came on a game visit, and so excited to have VJ. They just won the state championship last weekend, so excited to have VJ join the program. Another guy from Georgia, from Jefferson High School in Georgia, Jordan Perry. Jordan's a 6'2", 190-pound guy that we're going to play at safety. He played both ways in high school. He was a tremendous running back as well as defensive back. He was one of the guys that visited in the summer officially, but then came back unofficially on his own for a game visit. And really talented athlete that can really run, will strike at great speed. Excited about Jordan joining the program. Donovan Ryman from Enid, Oklahoma. Had a great senior year. He kind of came on the scene. I know we'd been talking to him for a while, but just watching him flourish throughout his senior year. He had 15 tackles for loss, 10 sacks. He's 6'4". He's close to 230. Came for a game visit. Speed off the edge, really good hands. And we were excited because he's a guy that we were on and were able to get here late in the season for a visit. He really enjoyed it, and he's going to really help us on the defensive front. And then Kobe Savage, defensive back from Paris, Texas, Tyler Junior College. Kobe visited us this past weekend. Extremely versatile safety, can play man coverage, can tackle in space. He's kind of the quarterback of the defense for Tyler. Great personality. You guys are really going to like Kobe, and I think he'll be able to help us immediately. So those are the 13 guys that we signed today, and excited about those guys joining our program. So we'll take some questions.
I know the first class you talked about, you wanted to really update the speed in the program. Was there a certain thing you wanted to tackle with this particular class?
Well, we were trying to hit a little bit of everything. And offensive line, we wanted to continue to build with some length there, and getting some guys that are 6'5" plus really helps us there. And then, the linebackers, getting some height and some size at linebacker. And, we just have 13 guys, so we have more work to do, but we're excited about these guys that signed early.
That was kind of my next question. You kind of left some room there. Is that kind of where you want to hit the transfer portal?
Not necessarily. Obviously, we'll look at it, and we're probably going to have to sign a few transfers. But, we also see that there's so many guys, especially with the COVID year that people had, and us not being on the road as much or at all last spring, and then just a couple weeks. We were only on the road 2 weeks this year. I think there's a bunch of guys with really good senior evals out there that we've been communicating with that we know didn't sign. And so for us, we're going to go back out and see those guys, bring those guys in for visits in January. So there'll still be some high school kids we sign for sure.
I know the rest of his family had great careers here. Can you envision the same kind of ceiling that his dad and brother had for Sterling?
Yeah, because of who Sterling is and his work ethic and his passion and his ability to understand the game and his ability to always be working to improve. And, he just needs to be Sterling. That's the biggest thing. But watching him in camp and seeing the explosiveness that Sterling has and the ability to run routes and catch the football, we're excited about him and his future here. He'll have a big impact.
There's no quarterbacks listed here. Is that something you're hoping to address before February?
Yeah, we will address it before February. One of those things where in communications that Colin and I have had with a number of quarterbacks, there's a lot of guys that didn't sign early, and I think that's a product of kids having really good senior years that maybe nobody got a chance to see as juniors because of the COVID year. No, it's an area we'll address in January.
Coach, how daunting is trying to manage your regular recruiting now with transfer portal on top of it?
It's really daunting, and I guess the biggest thing, Fitz, that all of us are probably struggling with is, there's kids entering the portal today and tomorrow and the next day, and they can't go visit anywhere. So you're trying to just get to know those kids and get on Zoom with those guys. And then the previous 2 weeks, there was kids entering it, and we had our list of high school kids that a lot of these kids had either been committed to us for a while, or we were trying to make sure and finish up a visit and maybe beat one other school on. And then you have the transfer portal on top of that. But it's not going to change. I hope, I don't know where this is going to go. I hope the signing date maybe gets adjusted a little bit so that from the coaching changes to the transfer portal and those things, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I hope it does so that we kind of get a cleaner slate for high school kids and then a cleaner slate for transfers.
And the NCAA allowed the 7 scholarship offset for transfers, if I'm correct in that. 7 outgoing, you sign up to 7 incoming without counting in your class. Will that impact you at all?
It will. But they haven't changed the roster management, So if it were, we can keep all the super seniors and have an additional 7 guys, that's one thing, but you still have to keep your roster at 85. So that's where there's a little bit of a balancing act with some seniors that are still deciding if they're going to come back for that super senior year. And a lot of that might not even take place and get finished up before the second signing period. It might still be into the spring or into the summer. But, we will probably take advantage of that. But with the roster management, it's hard to say.
And the scholarship crunch that's going on across the country, this is a small class as it sits now. And
Yep.
I would imagine that's pretty common with other programs. Does that mean there's more viable talent for the late period than there has been the last few years?
I would say this year there is. And I think to the point you started with the transfer portal, I think people maybe push the high school classes a little bit to the side. And I think high school kids, some of them signed early because they thought this is their chance to sign and I'm going to take something. And then some of them are waiting because, some of these transfer kids are going to find a place to go and then there's going to be spots available. And I still think we have to do a tremendous job of evaluating off of senior film. I still want to take a guy that's going to be here for 4 or 5 years as opposed to 1 or 2 years. And so we were a week shorter than we typically are of being on the road, and we were only out 2 weeks. And so it's really hard to get around to enough people. And so we've got to utilize that time in January and get back out and see these high school kids that have had really good senior years that held pat.
One final one for me. How do you manage the transfer portal in-house? You got all your coaches out right now, and I know it's a technical word
Yep.
where they can look at film on the road, but it's just got to be kind of a management.
It is. We've assigned a couple of coaches that are quality control analyst type people strictly to the portal on one side of the ball or the other. And I'm on the road and getting a text, hey, this kid's in. Here's his PFF, Pro Football Focus. Here's 30 clips. Here's 40 clips. And in between schools, you get back to a hotel, you're looking at your phone or looking at your laptop to open up and look at 20, 30 snaps. And, like him, send him to Steve, send him to Joe, send him to Colin, whatever it may be. And then trying to get a hold of those kids, but you're also, pretty regimented with school visit, home visit. And no, this 2 weeks was nuts, I got to tell you.
I guess one more from me. Is it wise to start looking at maybe I don't know what the title would be, director of the transfer portal, someone that's in-house year-round?
Probably, and we've kind of started that last summer when we knew this was going to kind of blow up. So we do have one on each side of the ball, but they also are doing some high school things as well. But I think what first has to get figured out is the dates. Of when we're going to sign, or we're going to have an earlier signing period. That's kind of where I think it could be going. Have an earlier signing period, maybe early in their senior year or before their senior year, and then push it back so that maybe kids, if they were entering the transfer portal, maybe had some more time to go. Wednesday and it's dead on Sunday.
I'm a liar, one more.
Okay.
With that, never mind, I'll come back.
We could talk forever on
I
it,
know,
Fitz.
I'm fascinated by that.
I'm not.
Are you sure? Chris, are you able to elaborate on the versatility of the offensive lineman that you acquired?
Yeah, we think they have the ability to play tackle first, and if not, guard, as opposed to the flip side of, man, they're guards. Can we make them into a tackle? Cooper Beebe's a great example. Cooper's playing tackle. We brought him in, I think, thinking he was going to be a guard, and then we were able to move him outside. Where these guys were bringing in with potential, we hope that they can play tackle, and if not, we'll slide him into guard. And so, having that length with all three of those guys is important.
And with your change of defensive alignment, where do these guys fit in that your recruits at linebacker?
Yeah, we think Toby and Jake, for that matter, could be a Sam or a Will, be the space guy or be the boundary guy. And then Perry and Payne, we think, could play any of those three safety spots.
Coach, with this being the first go-around with recruits for name, image, likeness, was that something that you ran across on the Zoom show?
A little bit. It's out there for sure. But once again, being out there such a short period of time, it got brought up, and we were able to at least give some data of what some of our players had been able to do. But we still can't control that. It still comes from their representation or them getting that somewhat on their own. So we were able to show some data where it's been effective and it has helped. I think it's just going to continue on as we go through this too.
And then I was going to ask about Jalen Clem being the son of a coach. How are those conversations when you do go into a home and you are talking with someone who is also a coach?
Yeah, Connor went to that one because I wasn't able to. I'll get there in January, but he and his mom came up here on the visit, and just like I would be, I want my son to be coached hard. I want him to be treated right, treated fairly, and I want him to get into environments that he can develop, learn, be cared for, be loved, and that stuff. And that's the same thing his dad wanted. So had some good conversations with his dad, and he knew we had a pedigree with getting NFL offensive linemen. And I know that Coach Riley did a phenomenal job with Jalen and hit it off with him, and we were excited to sign him.
Sorry, two things here together. You have two coaching hires to make. Is recruiting going to be more or less of a criteria this time around than the first when you originally put those original staff members together?
Say that again. I'm missing your question.
More or less of a criteria of recruiting when you're making those hires?
I would say probably less. Trying to get the right people in here first that can help us with K-State football, and then make sure that they're a fit to our staff, fit to our players, and then look and see, okay, where do they feel more comfortable at? Because we can move people around, and if you can build relationships, I firmly believe you can recruit.
And then how would you kind of assess the local recruiting performance at this point?
It's been good. Once again, I still think we have a full month to finish that off, but I think we're off to a good start.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why you think Kobe? You said you think he can help you immediately. Why is that?
Just being around him this weekend, excuse me, and then a few times on the phone and talking ball with him. He understands the game really well. He was the quarterback of their defense, and they had a lot of checks and adjustments, and he had to be the guy that helped some of the younger kids get lined up. And if you can communicate, which I saw on film, as well as I witnessed with him on the board and stuff and talking to Coach Klanderman, we need guys that are confident, that already have been into a system that, that's the hardest thing sometimes is, I only played offense, and all of a sudden you're going to play me at defensive back, or you got him type of deal on defense. And this kid's been through a system where he's played a number of coverages, played a number of man situations and pressures, and had a lot on his plate. And that's why we think he'll be a guy that can help us immediately.
Coach, when you look at a guy like Jay Clifton and VJ Payne, both of them come from pretty, like you mentioned, powerhouse high school football programs. Does that give them a leg up when they come into a program like this?
If they have the right mindset, it sure does. But if anybody comes in here with the right mindset of, hey, I'm don't know it all, and I've got to learn, I've got to pay my dues, and I've just got to, come down, put my head down and go to work and learn the system and get with Coach True and get bigger and stronger and listen to the older guys and listen to coaches. If you do those things, you're going to be successful. You are going to be successful. If you come into any program and think you've already got it figured out, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because college football, doesn't matter what level of college football is just such a difference in what they're used to as far as the amount of time that we spend with them.
Guess I know you've had a million other things on your plate, but where has finding or looking at a new offensive coordinator been on your
Way down.
way down?
Yeah, and same thing. I had been on the road for a week. We made the decision. Then I was on the road. I was on for another week, and now we're only at Wednesday, and it's signing day. So I really haven't talked to anybody. I haven't given it much thought at all. Once again, I'm going to spend a lot of time with Coach Klein during this period of bowl prep and that offensive staff, and learn a little bit more about the things that we're doing that we really like, the things that I would like to see us make some alterations on, and then we'll evaluate it after the bowl game.
Is there any one thing you might be looking for in that area moving forward?
I do, but I'll keep it between myself right now.
Chris, you kind of touched on it, I think maybe the very first question, but it sounds like from looking and reading stuff like that Coach Berry, who was the executive director of AFCA, wants to introduce this thing that would move the early signing day to January. It seems like, based off everything you said, that would be something you'd be in favor of.
Yeah, I haven't seen any dates at all, but something's got to give here. Something's got to give from the coaching profession to the transfer portal, all that stuff. That's what's got to give. So I don't know where that's going to be at. Is it going to be earlier before a season starts? Is it going to be pushed back and just take it out of December so that, from the transfers, from the coaching chain? I don't know. I know that we're going to have some pretty thorough conversations in January at our conventions.
And then in an ideal world, just given the attrition you've already had at running back since the season ended, would the hope be to sign two of them before February?
Well, we definitely need to look at running backs. I don't know if you know this, we've got a pretty good one. So it's not easy to go and try to find a transfer because they want to be the guy, and I'm going to shoot him straight. We got a guy, and he's pretty dang talented. By the way, he was first-team All-American. So we've got to look for some high school kids without question, and that's something that we'll end up doing in January. We didn't answer that question now, but we will in January.
Okay, back to the signing day.
Oh, boy.
So I saw something, a coach wants a July signing period.
Okay.
For a program that wants senior film, that seems to not work too well, is that signing period kind of aimed at the programs chasing the five and high school?
Yeah, potentially. I look at that, and we also want to get them here for a game day visit. That is huge for us. We get kids here for game day visits. We've got a great opportunity at them. So I don't know. I think July might be a little bit early, but in the same respect, maybe it would clean some of it up, as well as maybe people wouldn't offer 500 kids, because then they might fill up pretty quickly in July, because I'll take that. My kid would take it right now if he got it in July. So that's where I'm not quite sure if that's September 1. Where is that date? Maybe it's nothing until January. I don't want to go back to February as that's the only one, because you have kids committed a year in advance, and then you're kind of hanging on through all the way to February. And I haven't, it's probably like the offensive coordinator, I haven't thought about the dates that much on it, but it's something that I'm going to have to, because I know we're going to have some pretty good discussions about it in January.
On the OC, you just want to get
I do. Yep.
And you mentioned running back as one position as an area of emphasis, is corner another? I think McAllister is probably your.
Yep. That's another one. A quarterback's one. We're always going to sign a quarterback in a class. I mean, that's our goal. It's always to sign a quarterback. We need to get another linebacker, probably another safety. Those are just things off the top of my head. But we got to kind of see where this whole thing ends up here at the right before semester starts. If we can get a few guys in here at semester, we'd like to. If not, then we'll start hammering more of the high school guys until we get to the 1st of February.
Can you tell us how many of these guys you plan to have on campus for the start of spring ball?
I can't because I'm not 100% sure on it. Not many. It'd be just a few. I can't think off the top of my head which ones, but we just have a couple of them. And a couple of them are really good track athletes, want to stay and run track. And that's not a deal breaker for me at all. I think it's an advantage, but I also know, talking to a lot of moms out there, it's pretty important to have them to have their sons with them for the semester.
Anything else?
Chris, I'm sorry I have to ask you kind of a very serious question here, but just given what happened over the weekend in Aggieville,
Yeah.
you got to tell players to just avoid it for the rest of the year, or do you just reiterate, God, you got to be just really safe?
Got to be really safe. And it's unfortunate what happened. I'm glad that it's moving forward on the direction with arrest and stuff like that. But no, we've had a number of conversations about it.